everybody. We are here with Federica Foglia, who had two films screened in our festival this year. The films are Toad Leaf, Grass Rock, and Self-Portrait in Hell. And we are very glad to have her here with us today because we want to talk a bit about her films. So welcome, Federica.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for everybody for watching. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So I'm curious to know which films come first among the two that you screened?
Toad Leaf, Grass Rock came first, and then
Okay.
Self-Portrait in Hell was the last one, the latest one I've done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So maybe we can start from the first one in chronological order.
Yeah.
And okay, yeah, this film was very beautiful to watch actually at first, and we screened it in a section which was called interactions, because there is a sort of dialogue, very mysterious, as you also write in the synopsis. I would say both your films are quite mysterious, so I'm curious to know, at first, starting from this film, I'm curious to know what brought you to make this film. How come you worked on this film?
Yeah, so I discovered that my films are mysterious. I didn't know that before. Everybody tells me that, and it's because I usually like make my films in a very spontaneous way, and it's all about like subconscious. So I guess my subconscious is mysterious to me too, and I try to work out what's happening in my head. So the first one, Toad Leaf, Grass Rock, the black and white one, was my first film shot on a Bolex camera. So it was a completely analog film on 60 millimeter. And I was trying to learn how to use that camera. So it was my ever first experiment with that kind of cinema. So it was more or less like an exploration of my surroundings and photographs. I was trying to learn the lights, and I was trying to learn how to use all the exposures and stuff. But then as I was filming it, I started feeling more and more in dialogue with the surrounding and with the outside and with nature and with trees. And then I started having this internal conversation that sounded a lot like a dialogue between two lovers, but in reality, it was a dialogue between me and myself. I'm an immigrant. I'm from Italy, but I live in Canada. So these two people that are talking to each other in the film are the two parts of my life, like my Italian life and my Canadian life, that are trying to speak to each other. But I didn't say that in the synopsis, or I don't say that a lot because I want people to make up their mind about the film. So I guess it just came in a very spontaneous way. And then I used the poetry from Eugenio Montale, which is an Italian poet that is one of my favorite poets. I don't know, I use part of it and part of my dialogue. I mix the two together. It just feels, I don't know, it really connected with how I was feeling in that moment.
Great, thank you. Thank you for the explanation. And yes, I feel it's interesting, the fact that you leave this mystery, because it's interesting to know that for you it meant that, but in the same time, it's true that this film is open to many interpretations and many readings. It's very atmospheric, so
Yeah.
everybody can connect to some aspects, some images, or some parts of the dialogue, and make his own interpretation of it. That's also the beauty of it, I feel.
Right. For me, it's very important, like for me, it's extremely important that my films are super open so that people can put their own story on top of them. It's not, I don't feel like when I make films, I don't feel like I'm going to tell you a story and you come with me and you listen to my plot and plot and analysis and protagonist, and you make your own film. And it's a common experience that we have together.
That's very interesting. Yes, And yeah, I feel this actually worked a lot with both your films, and the images of this film are very oniric, I feel, or it seems like they are images from memories. I would say it's all black and white, and in many in various moments we see some fragments of faces. So what I felt personally was very much related to, yeah, how memory works. You have these fragments of images in your mind.
Absolutely, you are right. Like all my filmography up till now, I don't know the future, but up till now, it's made up of fragments. Like there's not an organic story ever. It's all bits and pieces, and they're sparse like that. And I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what they mean to me even. I discover it after.
Great. Yes. And the film ends with the fire burning the last image. I wanted to ask you what this meant to you at first, and then also how you realized this. Was it a real physical burning of the film, or not?
Okay, I don't know if I should answer that last bit of the question, but let
Okay.
me start from the beginning. So, to be honest with you, it's all instinctive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so even if you look at my background here, I don't know if you can see it.
Yes.
It's a film that has been destroyed somehow. So I'm gonna move away from the pieces of the fragment of the face here are just being part of a film that's been destroyed, right? So I'm back. So I think it's a process that comes from inside me, that I'm trying to rewrite myself in a way through my films. And so to rewrite myself as an immigrant, as a different person than I was from when I left Italy and I came to Canada, to write myself, I have to destroy some stuff to create other and make a bit of empty space for other images, other memories, future, So it instinctively, I started feeling that I needed to destroy the images that I'm creating, to make them and destroy them constantly. So after I was playing a lot with these black and white images, and there was a lot of water in it and the reflection in the water and puddles and stuff, instinctively I felt, okay, we need to destroy this film now. It's done. Let's destroy it with the opposite element now, with fire. Because so it was a nice juxtaposition. And for the last part, I want to leave it as a mystery. I don't want to tell you. I don't want to leave I want to leave a bit of the mystery.
Okay. I respect your mystery. And yeah, as you said, it's the natural elements are these two natural elements are very present. Like in all the film, we see a lot of water, as you said. So I felt it was very interesting to see this other completely different element just in the end. And it's very how to say, it's so strong also because it's the only moment when we see some color in the film. It's that's why I was asking, even if you don't want to answer, and it's not so important actually to know how it was made, but it's interesting because it's like, for me, I felt it was creating another level, because we see the whole film, we watch it and is in black and white. And usually when you watch a film, you are inside the images, right? So you are in that level inside the images. And with this fire in the end, it's like it's making us it's bringing us a step back, and we just remember that is a material, is a matter that can burn. So very interesting.
Yeah, I didn't think about that it was the only image in color. You are making me notice that now. It's true, I guess. Thank you for telling me that. So I use it in the next interview.
Yeah, you're welcome, because what I felt, I mean, if it would have been black and white, maybe I would have read it more as a part of the film,
Right.
no?
Yeah.
But in this way, it's like I make a step back, and
Right.
I see this as a as a as a matter that can
As the
work.
material. Yeah.
So yeah, I found this interesting, even though maybe it was not a conscious choice, but still maybe unconsciously you
Absolutely.
created this somehow. This
Yeah, because sorry, go ahead. Now you are making my mind activated. Go
no,
ahead.
it's like probably unconsciously you created this in a way in which there are two levels of watching the images. There is the level in which you are inside, and the level in which you are outside, and you still you see that they are material and images. Mm.
Yeah, because now that you point that to me, that was the last film I done. That was my last film. First of all, it was the first film done with analog, so with film, right? But it was the last film I shot myself.
Okay.
After that, I started working with found footage,
Mm-hmm.
and I became more interested in the material and in the destruction of material. So I think maybe that fire was the turning point from, shooting my own film and my own images and focusing on the visual,
Mm-hmm.
and moving to focusing on the materials. So it's, for me, at this moment in my life, when I make the second film, it's not more important to create my own images and film the world around me, but the material has become really important. So maybe that fire was,
Yeah.
premonition, I would say, like
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like it definitely can mean this. And maybe, I mean, a lot
Yeah.
of times we do things unconsciously, and
Right. Yeah.
they are actually saying something which is very true. So I'm glad that that you recognize this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And no, I felt that end was very interesting. Yeah, it was really because without it, it would have been, of course, a very uh,
Yeah.
good film, but it wouldn't have had the second layer. So that I found it very interesting. Okay, so now I would say this is a good passage to the second film, because uh, the second film that we screened is a Self-Portrait in Hell. And I guess I didn't know this, but I thought it was something you shot. But is it something that was found footage, right?
Yes, it was found
Okay.
footage. So
Okay.
there's several films there. Yeah. There's
Okay.
several. Yeah.
So yeah, I would start with the same question, like, how did you come to work on such film?
How did I come to work on such a same answer, very spontaneously.
Mm-hmm.
As I said just now, like I start becoming interested in materials because that film before opened my eyes to the fact that you can shoot film in analog. So I'm like, okay, this is great. I love it. What is this 60 millimeter strip? Like it's a piece of object, it's an object that's producing images and sound. It's not like your cell phone or the digital camera. So that was the eye opening. And then I say, okay, you know what? I don't feel satisfied with the images I'm shooting myself. When I go out with my Bolex in Canada, because this is not my country, I don't like what I shoot. Like I shoot the surrounding. In fact, that film that we talked about before is the only film I've ever shot in Canada. I have not shot anything else after
Okay.
that. I kind of, with the fire, I destroyed my own image making in Canada, and I go to images of other. So I start collecting old films of Canada, 60 millimeters, because I say, okay, why my film, when I shoot it, don't look good? Like, why is happening here? I need to see films of other people from Canada and see how they film this country. I'm not capable, and I've not been long enough in this country to be able to capture the essence truly, like authentic. So let's just use other people's material. And so I go on, hunting trip for these little films. I go to antique stores or on the internet, collections and stuff. And I find this small film, very, very small 8mm film with no label, nothing. And on top of the film, it said, woman dancing with a dog. I'm like, woman dancing with dog, what is this? Like, the way it looked, it was like a very nice round blue, bright blue box, with this handwriting on it. And I felt that I need to get this film. I don't know what's in it. I'm getting it. Woman dancing with dog. And then I bring it to my home, and I start screening it on my 8mm. So I went to a smaller format from 60mm to 8mm. And I see this woman dancing, as you see in the film. And she's dancing, like the whole film is just this woman dancing, and it's shot in the backyard of her house, probably by somebody, I don't know who shot it. I don't know nothing about the film. I just know that it's from the 70s because of the make. And when I look at this film, I really feel that this girl looks a lot like me. Mm-hmm. And I show it to my family, and they say the same thing. They say, oh my God, this like looks a lot like you. And I keep this at the back of, I don't use the film. I leave it there for a year, maybe, And then at some point I say, okay, I need to destroy this film somehow and do something with it. So I take the film and I put it in a process that they used to do, a German group that was called Schmelzdahin from the 80s. So this German group of filmmakers, they create this technique for which they decompose the film in soil, ground. Mm-hmm. So I put this film with this dancing girl underground with sugar and yeast, and coat the whole film with sugar, yeast, and soil, and leave it there for 2 days or a week, and I go back there and check how the film is decomposing, what's happening to it, I don't know why I did it, okay? So I need to do it, and I do it. And then I picked it and I washed it and I take to scan it, and it was all fragments like this one that you see here. And then I start painting on it with just ink, ink and paint, So I have this, I have a box here with some film that I'm doing the same thing now. It's like, it looks like when you get it out of the earth, it looks more or less like empty, You have a bit of the image and then you have nothing. So in the parts that where there was nothing, I start adding my own colors. Mm-hmm. And I had green, blue, like not really thought about it, like just throw the colors there. And it, it was a moment in my life where I was really depressed, like it was during the pandemic. So I guess everybody's depressed, right? So I was trapped at home and I felt that I was living in hell, and I was really having a hard time mentally. So I say, okay, I'm going to use this to make a self-portrait of myself. Like this dancing girl with this color and this sound, these represent exactly how I feel right now. So self-portrait in hell, and it came out the way you have seen it.
Wow. Thank you for sharing all the process. It's very interesting to know, and I think it's also interesting to hear some artists talking about this very spontaneous way of making the things and very intuitive. I really like the film, and I mean the images I felt were very fascinating to me, especially associated with that audio. And yeah, it's I decided to put this film in this section called the Hypnagogia, where we have a lot of other films that are somehow suggesting a dimension which is between dream and reality. And I think this film was really bringing me to that kind of state. It was really a pleasure to watch at it, because it was so full of so many details, and it was speaking to, not to my mental, to the mental part of myself, but more to the visionary part, or to the dreamy part of myself. And yeah, so it was really a pleasure to watch it. And also um, it was also a bit disturbing, because I could feel this, especially, yeah, associated with that kind of audio. I could really feel the state that was communicating. Yeah, maybe I would have a question about the audio. Did you work on it by yourself, or was it a collaboration with someone? And how did you come to choose that audio?
Yeah, okay. First, I want to answer to something that you provoke now. Like, I noticed the name of the program, Hypnagogia, that you gave to the, and it was, oh my God, this is so fitting, because I felt very close to what you're saying. Like, it's about subconscious visions, and not something intellectual, like not something that you can speak verbally. It's something. And it happens that when I was making this film, I was also doing hypnosis therapy. So, and the film and the hypnosis therapy were happening at the same time, and the visions, and it was just like, I'm not going to go there, but I really thank you for giving that title, because you really understood what was going on. For the sound, I basically do the same thing. I work with found sound.
Okay.
Like, I want to have zero control over the material. Like, I want to just grab these fragments from everywhere and then assemble them according to myself, and see if I can tell a story that is my own with things from others. So it's like a collaboration, but the other people don't know that they're collaborating with me. So this was a free, this music that I used is like a found sound that you use with free attribution license, and you can write the credits who make the sound at the end, but you don't really need to talk to the artist and don't need to really collaborate. And I really like that. I really like this feeling that strangers that I don't know around the world don't even know what's happening to their art, and maybe one day they find it. And I don't know, there is something beautiful for me about no control. Like, I'm a very control freak person, but in my films I let other things take control. Like, for example, when I put the film under the ground, I let the yeast and the bacteria take care of the film. Like, they decide what gets destroyed. Like, nature decides for me. Even when I paint on it, I cannot really see what I'm painting, because it's an 8mm film strip. So I don't know what image I'm creating. I'm just painting blind. Same for the music. I just find and select what feels right in that moment. And in this one, there is the same element of water that you have in other film, and also other films that I've done. Like, there's a lot of water in my film and a lot of sound of water. I guess it's about evolution and a flow, the flow of life, And then there was this woman singing that was very disturbing when I heard it, but it was disturbing in a beautiful way to me. Like, this film is beautifully disturbing. That's how I felt. Like, even in that moment that I was very stressed out and scared, and I was really having a hard time. But I say, okay, I have to make something beautiful out of this. So let's accept this moment. Let's accept that we are living in hell right now during this pandemic, and let's see if there's some beauty in it.
Yeah. The definition beautifully disturbing is really, I felt the same about your film. Yes, definitely. And I also find very interesting what you said about um, taking materials from others to make your own art, and especially in this case because it's a self-portrait, so it's even like it's so personal, but in the same time it's made of something that's yeah, was made by others for other purposes with other intentions. So it's very also in this I find a lot of fluidity and water somehow, like the fluidity of material that transforms in something else. So yeah, I find this process very interesting.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but this started like this self-portrait with stuff from others I've done in the past too. Like it's become a tradition of mine now that every year I do a self-portrait with other people. I guess it's all other people's material because I guess it's also a way of finding yourself in the others, you know, and feeling like a community, like feeling that we are all going through the same thing. So I can really tell my story with something you produce because there's gonna be a point of entrance for me. Like if your artwork that I find is authentic and resonate with my state, I will find a way to tell my story through it. But you have to be very careful when you do that because you don't want to misappropriate things in bad ways, you know, like you don't want to, you want to leave the essence of the thing alive and then add your own. So I don't know, maybe next year I have another self-portrait with who knows what, I don't know.
Wow,
More dogs, more
interesting.
dancing people.
No, it's really very interesting, this theme of um, how is possible to um, take material from others and make your own things, and also respond to some artworks of other people. This is something we explore a lot also in the festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's we try to always create dialogues between different art forms and between different artists. And actually, I have to say it's always very interesting to see the processes, because sometimes when you are an artist in any form of art, actually, you I mean, the classical way is to be, okay, I am the artist, I decide, I produce this and this and this, and but it's so interesting what comes out of, as you said, lack of control, because you don't have control on what the other produces. And so in some cases, really, there is something new coming out, that and unexpected. So yeah, definitely interesting.
Yeah, this is like really a key point for my art that I discovered. Like, I don't feel the necessity to be the author of the work of art, like the original creator. Like, there is this thing, you know, that man is at the center of the world and we create our own visions and our own images. But no, it's not, for me it's not like that. For me it's like the world is existing on its own and is really happy without us, you know. So I'm gonna go out there and work with what's already there for me. I don't i don't feel like the pattern, like this concept of being the paternity of the work of art or the maternity of the work of art. I am happy with adopting, you know. I can adopt a work of art of others and work and take care of them and recycle them. And it's also a conversation about recycling what's already there. Like, I don't want to create more waste with my films. Like, I don't have this, how do you say, aspiration to leave my DNA in the work of art and say, oh, this is something that I leave for posterity. Like, I go and I take the recycling materials and work with them because the world is so full of, there's a surplus of artistic object.
Mm-hmm.
And we cannot continue to put, in my opinion, I don't want to do this myself. I don't want to continue to put more, I don't know, plastic films or like even digital films. I don't want to put more in this world. I want to take what it is there and then give it a new life and recycle. It's all about this for me. It's become more and more about recycling and not having to say, okay, I'm the artist, I create this, look at my images. I have nothing against that, but I don't feel it's right for me. Like, no, I cannot do that.
Great. No, it's definitely an interesting process, and um, it also helps you, I think, I guess, to go out of your comfort zones, because it's not, as you said, you lose control in this way also. So I'm very curious about your future projects and how this how your process of making films will develop, because as I felt from this interview and also from watching these two films, there was definitely a process. I can see the process, and I'm curious to know where how this process will continue and where it will lead. um, yeah do, do you want to, is there anything else you would like to talk about, or
Yeah, I don't know how much time we have. I just you tell me.
we are free to
Oh, okay.
to choose,
Okay, let's
actually.
do like a 5-hour interview, bore
Yeah.
everybody.
Exactly.
Like stress everybody's life. No, I'm right now, as you say, it's a process. So, I started with destroying the image with this fire, and then I continue to destroy the images with earth, with this technique. And now I'm destroying images with water, basically. So what you see at the back here is created with water. I'm gonna move away a bit again. So basically, if you, I'm not gonna talk about the process because it's still in, I'm still working on it, but
Okay.
I managed to destroy some of the image away from the film strip, and then I peel. See, you almost see like the skin of the film here.
Yes.
So I'm starting to peel away the gelatin with the image from the film base. So basically what happens, you have the film. I don't know if you can, no, I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, so basically, instead of destroying the images now with the usual way, I am picking away like a layer of skin, the images from the film strip, and then creating collage and putting this collage on other film strips. So basically what, I don't know if you can see this.
Yes. Yes, a little bit.
It's a bit, yeah. So these are all pieces of film that are peeled away manually from the 60mm film strip. And then when you have them laid out like that, you can pick a little fragment here and there and you create a collage. And you work on the 60mm film strip to create this collage. So it's a very small, minuscule collage. And it takes like 2 hours to make 3 seconds of film, let's say. And then when you animate it, it's a mess. Like you don't know what image is coming to life. So basically, this is another way for me to reshuffle all the fragments. And right now I'm working on a film that it's called, it's not called anything actually, it's on the architecture of North America.
Mm-hmm.
So all the skyscrapers and all the tall buildings that we as European don't see around us much often. I mean, I'm from the south of Italy, and in my hometown is all small houses, But when I came to North America, there was this like huge buildings everywhere, glass everywhere. So what I'm doing is I'm buying and collecting all these 70s and 80s films that mainly frame cityscapes. And I'm destroying all these buildings with this technique and recomposing them with paint and my hands and water. So it's really a handmade collage. And I don't know what's going to come out of it. We'll see next year.
Wow, it's very interesting. Thank you for sharing this.
Oh yeah, sorry, and let me mention this. This is a technique that's called emulsion lifting.
Mm-hmm.
And it was originally discovered by a French filmmaker, Cécile Fontaine. She's still working now. Her films are amazing. I recommend them. Some of them are on the catalog of Lightcode. It's a distributor. And I was really fascinated by her film, but it took me a long time to understand how to do this technique, and I'm still working on my own version. I know that to do this process, she used certain chemicals, and I'm trying to create a process that is chemical free. So again, like I don't want to pollute the world, and I want to do things with respect for nature, So we'll see what comes out of it.
Wow, it's very interesting, and I like also this aspect of really, um, how to say, dirtying your hands with the process and with the film, with the material, and also discovering new ways of doing things and trying out new possibilities. So yeah, that's very fascinating, I feel.
Yeah, and it's also very rewarding because you work on with your hands.
Hmm.
So it's almost like an artisanal way of working. You
Yeah,
cannot produce, you cannot to mass produce long films, because if to make 3 seconds, it takes you 2 hours. For a section of 10 seconds, it takes you a whole day, and you are like peeling away the film with your body, and basically really your whole body is involved in the process. And through that, I think you elaborate some things too. So it's like a healing process. Like you can understand things with your hands and the gestures that you make. And again, it's like subconscious visions. And, I feel for me, it's the best way to work. I'm not saying it's the best for everybody, but for the way I am, it's the most authentic work I can do.
that's very fascinating. Yes, especially I think in this period when we are used to images that are so immaterial, um, like the digital images are much more immaterial. So it's very interesting to talk with a filmmaker who has such a materialistic relationship with the images that she produces. And it's interesting because yeah, images are uh, per se immaterial. Like when you watch an image, you uh, usually, I mean, at least in the way we are used to watch images at cinema, we are seated and we don't use our body, we use more our this part of our body.
Yeah.
But in through this interview you are really um, revealing the background, which is of your films, which is actually, as you say, more physical. And um, it's very interesting. It brings me back to think about, I don't know, miniaturists who were working with their hands on small paintings, or yeah, as you said, is an artisanal work. And it's very interesting to know that it's still possible to do it with images.
Yeah. Absolutely, it's possible. And you have to love it. Like, you can never do this if you are not crazy, like in love with it, because it's really a long, laborious process. But um, I was gonna say this. You prompted this to my head. There is this. We are used to think with our head, right? Like, we are used to when we watch a movie, we think about the story, we think about the images, we intellectualize it, and we need a logic thread, to. But I discover more and more that there is a knowledge that is in the material. There is a knowledge and an understanding of the world that is not necessarily done with the intellect, like the sense of touch, the sense of smell. It's something that for a long time I ignored, because we are surrounded by things that require intellect, and the intellect has a certain kind of hegemony in today's world, or actually for a long time. But I want to return to senses and get to know the world through senses. So I want to trust a bit my touch, I want to trust my sense of sight, or my sense of hearing, um, or even the instinct, when you have a feeling in your gut that tells you, like, oh, there's something here I shouldn't do, or I should do. Okay, maybe there is value in that. Not everything needs to be in straight lines of logic. Maybe there is a knowledge that can be found in these kind of things, the touch, and or there's memory even in touch, you know, like I was reading about this for my work. This woman from the Amazon forest wearing a belt around her waist, and this belt was made of like you know, scraps of fabric and stuff, and it's a very traditional belt. Actually, no, wait, from Guatemala, yes. So, and she was saying, I don't know where this belt come from. It comes from my family and family and family, like past generations. But when I wear this belt and I feel it against my skin, there is something that my body is learning from that touch, you know, and there is something in that object that can tell me something that I don't necessarily understand with the mind. I understand with the body. So it's a bit hard to do this in today's world, but for me, it's my way to fight back the immaterial world, you know.
Wow, yeah, it's very interesting, and I actually I would close this interview with this because I feel it's we arrived at a very deep um, aspect of 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 your work, but with your work we arrived to something else. So it's yeah, it's definitely interesting. It made me think about one rock that I have in my room. It's just it's not related with film, but and the first time I took it in my hand, I was feeling it was perfectly matching with my hand. And this is something you cannot explain. Like it's not logic, doesn't make sense, but still you can feel it. So this happens that we are used to mute this ability to feel these kind of things in our
Yeah,
that we have, but actually we do have this ability and this
yeah,
sensitivity to feel this. And yeah, I would say to come back to your films, I have to say that especially this second film, Self-Portrait in Hell, I felt was really speaking to another part of me, not to the part I'm used to use in life in most moments of my life. So yeah, I think it's very valuable to make such films.
keep
And
making them. You hold
yeah,
on to your rock. Don't lose the rock.
no, I won't lose it. And okay, Federica, thank you very much for your time today. It was really a pleasure to talk with you, and also to screen your films. And I hope really to be able to watch other of your films in the future and to screen them if in this festival if you would like, because yeah, I think they were very beautiful and very deep also.
Yeah, and I want to thank you for having me and everybody for watching and all the other artists that are in the program as well. I just admire their work so much. So, you know, looking forward to next year and what you prepare.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.